Right. So, an official good evening and welcome to the NEBOSH National General Certificate. So, today, as I mentioned, we are on sources of law. We had looked at the different sections of the HSW Act last week, Saturday, and we had looked at in detail section 2 and section 3 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 36, 37, etc. Right? That would have been the bulk of last week class anyway, right? We had also, based on the recording I'm seeing here, we had also looked at a possible past paper duty of the employer. We had looked at one of that. That was actually on the recording as well. That was last week, Saturday, right? The only admonition I'll have here or the encouragement is please remember to learn the sections of the act. Now, you may wonder why, because it's an open book exam. But remember, if you want to be a safety, right, there are two parts of being a safety. One, you'd have to have the certificate, and the other one is that you have to be competent, right? So it makes no sense if you have the cert. A lot of students, I realize, are doing that. A lot of students, they have the cert, but because it's open book, then they don't really learn what they had to learn, right? So if you are in Guyana, if you are in Trinidad, if you're in Grenada, I don't have any Grenadian student this time, right? In July month, I'm also leaving to do some training in July, but that probably wouldn't affect the Saturday, right? I normally go to that one on a Monday and come back the Thursday, right? I normally do Grenada like that anyway. But doesn't matter what country you're in, right? Trinidad, Guyana, Grenada, America, England, right? Wherever you have a OSH Act, it's the same duty. The duty on the employer is the same. The duty on the employee is the same. What may differ is the section 2 or part 2 or part 3, but it's the same duty, right? All right, so let's take it from here because that was last week's work, right? So 1.2, the force of law, punishment, and compensation, right? So law, or in the world today, you have two types of laws. You all may have realized that. And if not, I'll kind of bring it to your memory so that you do realize it, right? So one of the sources of law is the government, parliament, the state, right? And that type of law is called statute law. Statute law gets its name from the word state, right? Statute, state, S-T-A-T-E. So there's laws. In Trinidad and Tobago, we have a particular local television station that's called the Parliament Channel, which nobody looks at apparently, right? But we do have a local uh, channel that shows what is happening in Parliament anyway, right? Parliament. So when a matter is before Parliament, a bill is before Parliament, if the bill gets through the parliamentary stages and it's signed by the president, right? At least in this part of the world, in England, it will be signed by the king. Then that bill now becomes a law, and that law would have been made by the state. That state made law, right? But have you ever seen that reality courtroom show, Judge Judy? Have you all seen Judge Judy? Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
the decision by a judge, right? When a judge makes a law, have you all seen Judge Judy in Guyana? I think I've so Judge Judy,
Also,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So so the judgment of a judge is actually seen to be law as well. So if you have seen whatever you all have seen, there used to be one Judge Joe Brown. He was some years ago. But Judge Judy still, has, I guess the most famous personality there in terms of reality court shows. There's also divorce court, if you all have seen that. But the decision by a judge, right? Like if a matter comes up by a judge and the judge makes a decision, the judge gives a judgment then, right? That is called common law, right? So the words of a judge is also seen to be law, and that is called common law. However, common law It's page 10. If you turn page 10, just turn to page 10, you'll see common law. Common law is page 10, and today we are on page 9. So common law will be next week, right? But understand that there's two kinds of laws. There's a law made by the government, and then there's a law made by a judge. How is a law made by a judge? The words of a judge. If the judge said, you won your case, well, then that is common law. If the judge said, like this worker should be compensated $500,000 TT dollars, 15 million Guyanese dollars, right? So if the judge said that, the words of the judges is seen to be law, right? But that is next week class, right? So let's get on to today's one. I just saying there are two types of laws, right? So statute law deals with law made by the state. It is defined as a written law of the land. A statute law could be in the form of act or regulation. An act is known as a statute. A regulation is known as a statutory instrument. If you are in a court case, the prosecution against you, if it's something from OSHA, must prove their case on a balance of all reasonable doubt. You are a criminal if you commit a crime against the state. So how do you commit a crime against the state? You just break the law of the land, right? So the main sanctions of breaking the law of the land, if we talk about the HSW Act, includes imprisonment and fines, but not imprisonment in Trinidad or in Guyana. In England, they do have imprisonment, but not in this part of the world, right? Charges could be laid indictably or summary. So if you want, you could take some notes. This is not an exam. This is just to understand. An indictable offense is a serious offense. A summary offense is like if you get a speeding ticket, right? So in terms of a OSH or a HSC notice, a company may be given a summary offense. Summary offenses tend to cost less money, right? But there could be serious OSH offenses in which somebody is given an indictable, well, the notice given and carries with it some sort of indictable consequences then, right? Indictable is a serious offense. Normally, an indictable offense, if you are charged with an indictable offense, well, I guess in the region here, you do not get bail. You don't get bail for an indictable offense, right? If you, well, of course, Trinidad is very much in the world in terms of crime. So like normally if you listen to the news and you hear, well, like they would have caught somebody for, of course, remember this is innocent until proven guilty, right? So somebody would have been charged with murder, right? And we have many such cases in Trinidad. You would hear they say the charges have been laid indictably, and that means the person cannot get bail. Well, in Trinidad, you probably could because you just have to pay some money, right? And you can probably get bail anyway, right? But in terms of health and safety, it's almost the same thing. It's just that there are not too much indictable offenses, I guess, in Trinidad or in Guyana. I'm not aware of jail time then being associated with health and safety violations in Trinidad or in Guyana, right? The burden of proof is placed on the employer to defend yourself. And charges from OSHA or the HSC does not involve compensation for anybody that was injured. What it involves is a fine. Anybody remember the fine from last week? What was the fine in the UK though? Like, what was the fine for discourse? What was the fine for like a OSH or a HSC violation in discourse? Anybody can remember it? Try to remember it. We have anybody? We have about 19 people logged on representing Trinidad and Guyana. Who remembers was the fine for breaching? I think I wrote that on the side. Who remember the fine for breaching a part of the HSW Act? So this is what I say. Remember, when you get this qualification, the trick with NEBOSH, right? Is remember this is the qualification that you could work with. Now, what that implies is that implies that you know what you're doing. But right? Look at job somebody posted this week here. No, last week. The diploma, right? I'll open for you just now, right? So the trick with NEBOSH is that when you hold the certificate, the companies assume that you know what you're doing. So don't hold the certificate and not know what you're doing because you'll embarrass everybody. And if that's the case, don't tell them you study with me. Tell them you study on your own or something, right? Because people know Shadrach Safety Institute out there. A lot of these managers, and in fact, the manager of this company was a student of my school. This is a job vacancy from Tufco, right? The safety, both of them came from this school here, right? So when they say you come from Shadrach and you don't know the fee or you don't know this, just change that for me, please, and say that you studied somewhere else, right? The thing not opening, it just carried me back to the job thing, right? But I was going to show you Nibosh now. Maybe I can forward it to you, or they probably have better luck or something. At least talking to you now, sometimes you see when you say, as my attention is elsewhere, I'll just forward it to the group, right? I forwarded it to the group thing anyway, right? Yeah, so when you hold the NEBOSH certificate, it's not like a normal certificate, you see. People assume that you know what you're doing and that you know what you're saying. Anybody had it? What's the fee? Anybody remember the fee? By the way, anybody ever read out this PowerPoint? You all have had it for a long time now. Yeah, but what's the fee for the course? I mean, like not the fee in Guyana or the fee in Trinidad. What's the fee? Anybody remember what was the fine for breaching the HSW Act? We must have mentioned it. Probably by the way. But we
That's
probably
it.
would have
That's
mentioned.
the $2,500 fine
No, I think that was FIFA intervention. We probably didn't come
intervention.
across it then because I mean you all are bright students. I feel you may have remembered it, but we probably didn't do it in depth because I think in where we are at, it still is ahead of us. It's in the page coming up, but I thought we may have mentioned it, right? But it's actually £20,000, right? I know I mentioned it before. It's like that is like this is like 200,000 TT dollars. Well, just under 200,000 TT dollars. This is the figure you need to know for this course. So breaching the HSW Act, the nice sections we talk about, like section 2, the duty to provide safe access, egress, safe plant and equipment. If you find any breach there, for any breach, it's actually £20,000. Section 22A, right? Provide safe plans, safe systems of work, that sort of thing now, right? But any breach you get in the UK, it's £20,000. And that's the figure you have to quote for this course. Remember when you do your exam, right? You cannot quote the figure in Guyanese, nor could you quote it in TT. You must quote in pounds. And this is per section. I don't know if you're getting that. You could take a note in case you missed it, right? It's per section. So like if the company broke section 22A, this is a 2 here, right? 22A, or you broke section 22C, then that will be £40,000. It's quite high in the UK, which is a lot of the companies there don't like to work there. They like to work here. A lot of companies that like to work out of the UK, they like to work in Trinidad or Guyana or Nigeria or Suriname, right? Where if something happens, there's not much of a consequence to them there. Trying to adjust my chair, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. But in the UK, it's a lot of consequence because £20,000 is a lot of money. I don't know if you understand what I mean by that. In England, right? I am going this year. I'm going in November. I'm hoping to as long as the nothing
I
happens on the
think,
trip
and
itself, right?
I could be wrong, but I think £20,000 could be about 200,000 TT, maybe.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's about roughly 200,000 TT. But what I'm saying, £20,000, right? For a British person is a lot of money. Like we will see 20,000 and think it's 20,000 TT dollars, but it's not. Like that amount is like how we would think of 200,000 TT because stuff in England isn't that expensive. It's probably expensive for them, but compared to how we think of things as expensive, it isn't expensive. I could give you a simple example. If this phone, this is an iPhone, right? So this is I don't even know which one is this, but this is the one before the latest one. So like this is about 8 or 9,000 TT, I think. Could be wrong, about 9 or close to 9, right? I guess 8 or 9. So like in England, you probably will get that for about, it'll be less. It'll be less than what you pay for it here then. It'll be less, right? If whatever is, if you buy a Nikes in Trinidad for $2,000, it will be less than £200 there. It'll be less, right? Stuff is actually cheaper in England than it is in Trinidad, right? Guyana may be different though. Stuff may be cheaper in Guyana, right? I'm not too sure the conversion rate, but you know, Guyana probably is cheaper than the UK. But for us, if you compare us to the UK, anything you can buy, if you can buy this book for $1,000 TT, this book is not 1,000 TT. Well, like 1,000 TT, but this book is not 1,000. Like it's not £100 then, it's actually less. You actually save money if you buy it in England than buying it in Trinidad, right? So for that reason, anyway, maybe I could use another example. Like McDonald's, right? McDonald's is very popular in England. Like if I'm in the Caribbean here, KFC is more popular. But not really. In Barbados, anybody know the fast food in Barbados? There's actually a brand of chicken across it that's more famous than KFC. Yes, there's actually something more famous than KFC. Chiffets, yeah, very good, right? Chiffets, yeah, chiffets, very good key, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, to the Bayesian people, they like their chiffets, right? Which is like chicken echo. We have Royal Castle. There's also Royal Castle in Guyana too. Some very nice. Guyana have the best Royal Castle ever. If you've never gone to Guyana, what makes the Royal Castle good like that, of course, is the fact that it looks like a castle as well. The building looks very nice as well, right? Anyway, the point is here that stuff isn't that expensive in the UK, but to say £20,000 then, £20,000 is a lot of money for a British citizen to have then, because they are accustomed getting things like for £2, £3, £6, right? Like McDonald's, I was saying, is like £2.99, right? They could get McDonald's like for £2.99, probably less, or probably that's the higher scale of it, right? So when you say they find in a company in England, it's £20,000. This is a lot of money. Like I said, to the Guyanese mind or to the Trinidad mind, we may be thinking, well, that's just $20,000. No, it's not. It's not when you're accustomed getting things cheaper. That's why I went on this storyline there to tell you, to kind of draw to your mind that this is a very expensive price that they have to pay for a fine, right? Take a get at a bit, please write it down. It's a figure you have to use in discourse. Like when you write and you say the employer broke section 22A, the fine is 20,000. You must quote all your figures in discourse in pounds. Not Guyanese, not TT, not American dollars, not EC, not, the euro, British pounds. Everything must be quoted in British pounds. If you put it in Guyanese, you put it in TT, you put it in American, you put it in euro, you'll get it wrong, right? You have to put it in British pound. Did you make a note of that? Because I'm sure somebody will mess it up. But hopefully it's not you. It's not you that wrote it down. All right, I'm moving on. Anybody have any questions here? No? Yesterday I was in a restaurant yesterday evening. And just in the back of me, because I have this plan to go to London, and just in the back of me, they were showing, it looked like a ribbon video, meaning the video kept on ribboning, like kind of rotating of London. I was like, okay, like there's a sign, because I'm planning to head to London this year now. But when I look back at the thing, I saw it now. That's the Tower Bridge, right? Anyway, maybe one day you all will join me, because with your qualification, you have to qualify to work across there. I think I showed you all that already. You qualify to work in any part of the world. Dubai, right? I'm not going for work this time though. I may do something at IOSH, but hopefully this time is not too much of work in the UK, right? Okay, I'm moving on here. All right, so we know what statute law is. So statute laws are regarded as primary legislation. It starts with a consultation document. After the consultation phase, a bill is produced. The bill is normally read 3 times, so the contents may need changing. Once the bill gets through parliamentary stages, it is sent to the king. The queen died last year. And of course, in Trinidad and in Guyana, It's sent to the respective presidents, after which it becomes, after the person signs it, the president signs it, or the king signs it in England, it becomes the law of the land, right? So let's go straight to the book now. And all of that was to tell you about the HSW Act, right? Like the history of the Act a little bit and how the Act would have formed. All right, so this is where you can start to write. So the Act that we are talking about, somebody is coming in, right? Just give me a chance. You can write on the Act here for me, in the Act, and you could just put here, well, I'll try to finish it. The HSW Act. Let me just admit, Dwayne. Right? So all of that talk about the law of the land and, you know, the signing through parliamentary, all of that was about the Act. Right? Hold up a sneeze, right? And the main thing here is the HSW Act. We all know this from last two classes, 1974, right? So the HSW Act, 1974. Every country that have a law got it from here. The British ruled this part of the world anyway then, right? It's a very interesting story though, but I don't have time to tell it. It's just an interesting story that, you know, they say even before the British, like there have always been empires then, the British Empire. You know, there have always been rulers and conquerors and some good, some bad. I mean, all bad, but I mean, they have really been, I guess in some way, every bad have a good, I guess, right? Anyway, the point of this story is that people have traced back what the British did, like creating laws, like conquering and creating laws. Remember, the British did that, France did that too, right? But conquering and creating laws and ruling over people and stuff wasn't a British idea there. I think you know that, right? Like before the British Empire, there was, you could trace it back to Rome, right? Rome. And then if you trace Rome back, you could probably get different empires, you know, leading to the Egyptians, and then probably leading to the Sumerians. But wherever you had people conquering, there was always going to be control, and the laws was always a form of control then, right? But in that, it did have some good coming out of it. Just give me a minute, folks. Well, yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, I have some stuff in the office here going on today. Right. So anyway, so the thing is, I was saying like the act of creating a law then is nothing new. And like what the British did to what the world followed. I mean, Trinidad followed, the Guyanese followed, they followed the HSW Act, has always been like the way it was now. There was always, you know, conquerors and people creating control, right? But it is still that way anyway, I guess, right? Given the fact that we still have laws over us. But there's a good side of law because laws could protect workers, you know, laws could create, you know, some kind of standard of living in society and stuff like that. All right, anyway, back to this one, right? So let's look at your book, and the next heading you're going to see is regulations, right? So what I'll do, I'm going to read out the regulation slides, because it's two of them, and then I would explain, right? So there's a regulation slide, right? And then I'll explain regulations, right? So regulations are made by the Secretary of State as a result of the HSC proposal. In April 2008, the HSC was what kind of renamed, right? It was incorporated into the HSE. So today there is no more HSC, even though they function inside of the HSE, which is in London, right? They are in London in the Rose Court building, right? The health and safety executive must consult with all interested parties in making regulations. Secretary of State can make them on his or her own initiative, but they must consult with the HSC first. regulations must be laid before Parliament and made under the HSW Act. The European PAC, just reading this slide, right? The Management of Health and Safety at Work Regulation 1999, the Provision and Use of Work Equipment Regulation PUA 1998, that's pronounced PUA. Workplace Health, Safety and Welfare Regulation 1992, Display Screen Equipment Regulation 1992, Manual Handling Operation Regulation 1992, Personal Protective Equipment Regulation 1992. Okay, so what is this all about, right? So this is where we need to start understanding now. So reading is reading and understanding is not reading, right? So here's what happened here. I'm going to explain it first and then you would see if you need to take down anything additional, right? And then I have something for us to find and to research. But I could probably be finding and the researching for afterwards anyway, right? So with the regulation, right? What a regulation is just give me a minute, there's some students I'm messaging. A regulation is a law. So we said that, right? Regulations are laws, right? If you go back here, see here, statute law, right, can be acts or regulation, right? So the law of the land is seen to be an act, but it could also be a regulation, right? So regulations are made by the Secretary of State, which is actually like a minister. If you want, you can take that down. How we say Minister of Trade or Minister of Security in Trinidad and Guyana. A minister is like the Secretary of State, right? So what is happening here, right, is that there are two types then, there are two types of statutory instruments. You have acts and you have regulations, right? Now, how are they different? This is what I'm going to get at now, right? So how are they different is that the regulations are more specific. So with the HSW Act, they could not put everything in one document. Like they couldn't address all the hazards there, right? And if they did, the regulations would have been very low. Or the act would have been very long, should I say, right? The act would have been very long. If they had choose to address all the hazards in the world in the act itself would have been too long. So what you find in the act is an overall statement. The act says the employer is like to provide the health, safety, and welfare of all employees. It's like an overarching statement. And what they did, what they couldn't put in the act, they created a specific regulation for it, right? So a good way to think of this, if you write in subnotes, is that for every hazard in the world today, you can write it down and then think about what I'm telling, right? For every hazard in the world today, there is a regulation. For every hazard in the world today, well, I should say there are regulations because some of them have more than one law governing that particular hazard, right? So as much as you could think of a hazard today, there is a regulation for that hazard, right? As much as you could think of a hazard, there is a regulation for that hazard, right? So can you shout a hazard for me? Like what is a hazard? We covered that one about 2 weeks ago. A hazard is whatever have the potential to cause harm. So what is a hazard? Like name a hazard for me.
Yeah, fire,
Say it again.
fire, height,
Fire. Okay, good, right? So
fire.
remember I said today we have to do some research here. So fire is a hazard. So there's going to be a regulation for fire. You'll have to find that today for me. Well, might be all today, but we'll find some. What's another hazard? What's another hazard?
The dust.
Dust. Okay, good. Well, there's a regulation for dust, a couple of regulations for dust. Certain types of dust have their own regulation, like asbestos have their own regulation, right? The control of asbestos at work regulation, right? What's another hazard? Anybody else?
Well,
like unattended cables are just left strewn
Yeah,
on the
slip,
floor.
trips, and fall. Yeah, there's the workplace regulations for that, right? So like slip, trips, and fall, right? There is you can write this whole thing out, slips and trips, right? The marker is given some issue there.
So working from heights.
Yeah, working from heights, right? Good. I'll just take 3 for now, right? Because the idea here is to kind of create the impression that you have more than one regulation then, right? So from slips and trips, if you want, you could write out 3 here now, but in fact, no. No, this would be, I wouldn't write it because this would be kind of like what your assignment would be. What you like. Yeah, like what the assignment would be now, right? So like, but each of these, I'll just put each of these, fire has a regulation, dust have a regulation, slip has a regulation, slip, trips, and fall have a regulation, right? So see if you understand that, but you have to understand why, right? So like the why was, it was so because they couldn't fit everything in the act, right? So what they did, they created an overarching act that said the employers to provide for the health, safety, and welfare of all employees. But then for the specific regulations, they created a separate law. And that's what they're saying here. These were made by the minister, and the ministers had to consult with the HSC, the Health and Safety Executive, which is like the OSHA in the UK, right? So that is what is happening here. So see if you can understand, for every hazard, there are regulations. If you understand that, we can move to the next one. For every hazard, you have a regulation. I was going to give it to research it one by one, but if you look at page 9, watch back page 9 for me, is not one thing you have there. You have act, you have regulation, you have ACOP, and you have guidance. I feel I could explain all, and then when we go look for them, we could find all one time because, me find them in the same place. The same website gives you all of them there, right? So see if you can see that back in the book. We did act, we did regulations. What you learn from regulations is that every hazard in the world today have a regulation, right? And what the regulations are, the regulations is like a law that governs a specific hazard. Therefore, there's a specific hazard for fire. There's a specific regulation for fire. There's a specific regulation for dust. And in some of them, you have more than one. Fire have 2 regulations as well. And there's a specific regulation for slip trips or slips and trips anyway. So if you're okay with that, we can move to the next one.
Yes, sir, I'm okay with that.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
okay.
I'm okay with
Yes,
it.
okay. Okay, so what you need to understand, like I said, is that they couldn't fit everything in one document. It'll become too big, right? If they fit all the hazards in the HSW Act, nobody will want to read it. It'll be too bulky, right? If you even download the OSHAC by itself, the TT OSHAC or the HSW Act or the Guyana OSHAC, it's very big. It's enough. I have it in the cabinet there, right? So imagine to put more laws in that, and then to put one for fire and one for noise and one for vibration. It'd be too big, right? So I think they were smart. And what they did, they created the main act. And then for the different laws now, you have different regulations. And that's what you were seeing here. I'm taking off this, let me see what I could, no, I want to leave something. I'm going to try to get the eraser. So I'll leave that. I'll take this off. But the other slide I had now, that's what you were seeing. What I tried to do on the other slide, right? What I was doing there. I was trying to say that you have other regulations. I'm trying to get this slide to move again. Some of these things will move unless if you clear the screen. Let me see if we can get it to go. Okay, so it's not moving because something I'm putting on the screen, right? See, I think I have to take off the marker. Should be able to move on. Right, so that's what I'm saying. So that's what we're seeing here. These are just different regulations, right? So there's one for management, there's one for work equipment, there's a law then for management. There's a law for work equipment. There's a law for welfare. There's a law for using the computer screen or process screens. There's a law for manual handling. But each of them is an individual law. It's not packed into the HSW Act. right? So do you all understand again, one last time, for every hazard that you could name, there is a regulation for it. Do you all understand that? Yes, okay, let's go again. So the next thing in the book now, you'd see a funny set of letters. It's called ACOPS. It's pronounced as an ACOP, page 9. Right? So let's see what this one is. I'm going to read it from the slide first and then come back and explain it to you. Right? So what is an ACOP? By the way, here what? I feel I'll do the two of them one time, right? To get in, plus we have to find them still. Let's do the last one one time. If you have any space when you're writing, leave some space between this one and this one because it's something where they put in it still. If you look at the book, the next thing you'll see is guidance, HSG guidances, or health and safety guidances. There's a little couple of letters for this. They normally say HSG. Hence, you heard me say HSG. And let's take a look and see what they are. And then here what I'll do. I feel I'll explain it first. I feel if you read, I feel you wouldn't get it, right? As we explained it already. Let's keep on with the explanation, right? So to take it to the beginning, there's the main law for health and safety, the HSW Act. It's a good law, it's detailed, but they couldn't put everything, and nobody would because it would be too big to read. So what they did, they created specific laws, and those specific laws, like what covers fire is for fire alone. What covers noise is for noise alone. What covers manual handling is a manual handling alone. What covers PP is a PP alone, right? Those specific laws are called regulations. Look at right there. So let's see what the other two things are, right? But what I was saying, I would tell you one time, I would just try to line up this slide. I'm just trying to line up this slide. So the ACOPS, right? So watch this now. So trying to make life simpler for you, not me, the British are saying, right? Or the law firms. They created regulations, of course, right? So we know that, right? They created regulations. But here the thing, right? They realized that the regulations are still very long. Like a regulation is a law. And if you print it, it'll still be that big. So, like, who have time for that? Like, managers don't have time. Even if you write a law for PPE or manual handling, which is what the other slide have here, right? Of course, I'm not going back because I'll take back the marker now, right? But like, if you have a law then for PPE, managers already have time for that. So what they realized is that they needed to put it in a more condensed form, right? So what they did, that's what they did. They created like a pamphlet, a brochure, a leaflet. And those supplementary documents are called ACOPS as well as health and safety guidances, right? Have you ever gone anywhere like you have gone to like a doctor, God forbid, of course, because nobody goes to see a doctor for a good reason. A dentist, right? And you have noticed they have a whole set of books there. Some of them you pick it up, it's on BP, some from Atlantic Energy, Cosmopolitan, Muscle and Fitness. Have you ever seen those things? Yeah. Well, that's what they did here, right? So what they did, they took the same law. So the act was first, but then the act allowed for further laws to be made. But then they took those further laws now and they broke it down into like a booklet format. If you want, let me show you what I'm talking about. It's on my slide and I'm just trying to explain and not read too much. But if you follow this slide, what's something on this slide? Right? The guidance is, the ACOPS, right, is usually in the form of books. But it's a thin book. I have some around, but it's a find them. I have one. I could show you one now and but I have some really good ones, but I might be able to show you. There's one on the table down there. I have when you come to the office, let me just grab two for you and I'll show you. But the point of the book is that if you didn't have time to read the whole law, you could have read a brochure. Like if it was on manual handling, you could just read a brochure on how to do manual handling properly now, right? Like if it was on noise, they could show you like an air defender and air muff. So the ACOP, see if you understand this, is the law. And the guidance is reflect the law. But it's the law in a user-friendly format. You think you understand that? Let me show you two, right? Just give me a minute. All right, I was only able to grab up one, right? I should probably, I have these things for so much of years. I know one of the students came to the office and she saw this one at time. But I've had this for more than 15 years. It doesn't look like that, right? I really don't remember the number of years. But if this is 2024, and of course 2020 is a year, I've had this for 15 years now, 1-5. I have a whole the office here. I have books for more than 20 years now. I have one right on the table there too. Right? This one is 20 years old, but this is when I was doing my master's. Doing a research project. This is not a ACOP. This one is not a guidance. This is just a textbook, right? I just showed you. I have we have books here 20-something years now, right? This one is, of course, like a brochure. This one is from the Health and Safety Executive. Who is this? That is the same place that we were talking about here. Let me see if I can go back to this slide. Who makes the regulation? The HSE. This is a real set of people here. Like how NEBOSH is real, the HSE is also real, right? So the point we're trying to say, what just on manual handling, right? Like, like an employer is more willing to read a brochure like this about how to do manual handling than to read how it is in the law then for manual handling. Because how it is in the law for manual handling is just words. But if you could create a brochure, this one says 6 steps to safe handling, right? Then you get the same thing the law was trying to say, but you get it in a user-friendly format. You think you understand that, folks? Yes or no? Because here the thing I tell you, remember, you have to find them. What do I mean by find them? You'll see what I mean just now. Fire. So there'll be a law for fire, but then if you could read a nice book like this, nice pictures talking about, that is what the ACOPS and the guidances are. The ACOPS and the guidances is like the same information, but it's in a kind of user-friendly format, right? So here the thing, right? Here the thing. So you saw the HSC here. And in case you forget, the HSC is the Health and Safety Executive in the UK. NEBOSH works closely with them. That's why you see the NEBOSH logo and the HSC logo, right? And what the HSC have done, I wonder if I have another book from them. I have other books from the HSC, and I have like the process. I have books right on the side there. I have books from the Health and Safety Executive. The process safety book was written by the HSC and by NEBOSH. It's just on the other counter there, but I'm not getting up again, right? Let me finish off what I'm doing here. So the HSC has a website. This is what I mean by Finder. And the website is like the secret weapon for all safety professionals, right? Like how a construction worker may have a secret, a particular knife, a particular, but that knife does multiple functions at the same time. That's like his best, kind of, trade secret. The HSC has a website. And you as a safety professional, safety advisor, right? You have to know where to go and find this information for many reasons. I'll give you 2 main reasons alone though. Number 1, the NEBOSH project. The NEBOSH project would have you find the law, the ACOP, and the guidances for 3 of your hazards. I don't know if you want to write that down. The NEBOSH project you have to do has 10 hazards in it. But for 3 hazards, the first, second, and third, you have to boil it down to first, second, and third. For 3 hazards, you have to find the law for it. You have to find the ACOP for it. You have to find the regulation. You have to find the guidance for it. For 3 of them. Please write that down. So this is why page 9 is taking so long. It is for you, but it's also for something on your project, on your assessment. Right? So we have to practice finding them just now in the next 5 to 10 minutes. And then I'm going to give you 3 for your assignment for this week. Right. So let's kind of come back to ACOPS, right? So ACOPS got supplements, acts and regulation, tells you what the law wants. You could read this out for me, right? So because both of these down here are books, the ACOPS is like a book or a pamphlet, right? It could be much, like I said, like just like a pamphlet, right? The ACOPS could be like a pamphlet, or the guidance could be a pamphlet, right? Because they are books then, right? There's a way to tell them apart. So if you're looking for an ACOP, it is normally represented by the letter L. So remember every regulation, every hazard have a regulation. Every hazard have a regulation. We're going to try to find two for them just now, right? So if every hazard have a regulation, therefore, every regulation must have a book. But there are two kinds of books. So how do you tell them apart? Well, they come with a different code. For the ACOP, they come with the letter L. Right? And there'll be a number here, L and a number, like L95 or L108. Right? I was going to put a number sign there, but the marker seemed to have disappeared. If you could just put a number sign or write the word number there for me. I'm not too sure. Look, I'm pressing the marker there, but it's not engaging. Right? Let me try this one. Yeah, so there's an L and there's a number like L108. L108 is a real book. We could find it just now. You'll see L108 is a real book. That's a real series code for a book, right? And then the other kind of book that are classed as guidances are represented by the letters HSG, and the number as well is a separate number here, right? So let's kind of recap. We're recapping and saying for every hazard, there's a regulation. For every regulation, there's an ACOP. For every ACOP, there's a guidance. And you have to find all three for 3 of your hazards. So that's 9 things you have to find in all. Right? Okay, what I'll need for the next part, you need to tell me if you take this down and if to clean this from here, first of all. What I'll need for the next part, I need to know if you have another device around you to go on the internet on. If you have a phone, an additional phone, or maybe you're taking the class on the PC and you have your phone in your hand. Yeah. Do you all have another device that they can use during the course of this thing now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You see what happened, right? I could it's quicker for me to use it on the phone. I do have the HSE page open, but the thing with Zoom, right? Zoom doesn't like, okay, every page I search for, I'll have to go and share it because Zoom, you know, is Zoom doesn't show you the page then that is being viewed. It just shows, you know, like what you're searching for, right? And then with Zoom, you have to preload the page in the view screen. So it's going to be difficult. But are you all seeing this page in the background here, the Health and Safety Executive? Okay, good. All right. All right. Well, here's the thing, right? That is actually not the real page. That's actually one of the page, but that's not the search engine page, right? So I'm going to change back the view and I'll try to do it on my phone. And I'll try to have you follow on the phone as well, right? So to begin this exercise, we have to begin with a hazard. So if you all could pick a hazard for me, try to see how long it is now. Yeah. Wait, it's just a screw. What do you want? Well, I don't know. Well, if it's very noisy, I'll have to have your stuff. But I don't think it's that noisy. Yeah. Are you all hearing like a drill in the background? Okay, no, listen out. I just have some work in the office going on now, but if it's not too loud, we'll continue. Okay. So could you I'm trying to find a page where I could write on here. Like what page? Okay, this page has some space, right? So could you choose a hazard for me? Because to begin this, we must start with a hazard. Why must we start with the hazard? Because remember, it's every hazard have a regulation. So you can't start by this looking for a regulation, you have to start by your hazard. So could somebody call a hazard for me that we didn't? We could go back to fire if you want, but if anybody want, you could call a fresh hazard, if there's ever such a thing.
So about electrical hazard.
Okay, very good. Anybody else have one? A hazard is whatever could cause harm. So it could be anything, right? Anybody want to think of another one? What is a hazard?
Confined space.
Confined space is a hard one. When I say hard, I know sometimes no, I know you can
Noise.
get it. Say,
Noise.
okay, noise is an easy one, right? So let's go with noise. Now, the reason why I say hard or easy is because remember we live now, and we don't have a lot of time. Like when you're home in the week, you could go and look for the law for confined space. I know it is the confined space regulation 1997, but to find it may be a bit hard. So let's just go with noise for now as an example we're doing, right? So we're gonna write down noise, right? So noise is the hazard of choice for now. We could do another one just if we get through with one. It's now going to 2 o'clock. If we get through with one, we could try another one, right? But for now, we'll try noise because I know noise isn't that hard to find. All right. So what I want you to do is, let me tell you, well, so on your device, whatever you're using, I try to find my my Google here, my thing, right? So whatever device you're using, right? So what you want to search for, you want to search for the health and safety executive because that's the page there. That's the page maintained by the government in the UK for health and safety, right? So you put it in that health and safety executive. And this is also a very good tool for your exam, right? Health and safety executive. That's what I did. I just showing you what I did. Health and safety executive, nothing fancy. What it should come up with is that page there. So you want to click that, and it should look like this. But I guess they did change it. It looked like the one I had before. Actually, up till last week, this was not like this. I guess they did an overhaul of the page, right? So you want to get this, you want to get the health and safety executive page. Hopefully didn't change the search menu too bad, because if they did, it's going to be harder for us to find, right? But you'll see it have a search. You see it have this here, like a search. It have like the magnifying glass there to search. You can find out here this. So that's what you're looking for, right? So even in the page last week or the older pages, that's what you're looking for. And what you want to do, you want to click that, and you see it marked search hsc.gov.uk, right? Where was it? No, we didn't. I bring another card on my phone. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so tell me if you have this. I wonder if I just know. Yeah, I think I carried that back home. Yeah. Right. So if you get that page, just let me know. And what you want to put there, like you want to put now, so you want to put, remember what we want to find. This is what we want to find. We want to find the 3 things. We want to find the regulation for noise. We want to find the ACOPS for noise. We want to find the guidance for noise. But I'll do them one at a time. So let's just focus on this one. So if you get a search bar open, what you want to put here is regulation for noise. There's no need to put UK because this is already a UK site, right? So regulation for noise. And you click search. So that's what I did, regulation for noise. If you can see that. Regulation for noise. Yeah. And you want to click search. And you can tell me what you are coming up with. And what we want to get is like the name of the law and the year of the law. Like how we tell the HSW Act 1974, we want to get the name of the regulation for noise, which is the name of the law for noise. Tell me what you getting.
So
You
I
may have
got
to click.
noise at work regulations 2005, and the ACOP is L108.
Okay, well, we're not looking for the ACOP as yet, but we'll come back to the ACOP just now, right? So we're looking for, so anybody else got it? Just see if you got the click one of those things that open up. I think for me, it was the second one. Yeah, I mean, you must see it. You'll see it have a year associated with it. So it looks
Yeah,
like
I
the
got it.
second. Yeah, okay. So you want to write that down. That's the Control of Noise at Work Regulation 2005. I would just use the acronym. You could write down the full thing, right? The acronym is CNO. CNO 2005, right? Please, if you didn't write it down, as I said, please remember, there are 2 reasons for this exercise today, or maybe 3. But one of it is to finish what's on the syllabus, right? But the other reason is that you as a safety person, you need to know what's in the law for health and safety there, right? The other thing is that you also need to know this for your project, because for your project, you need to know at least, you need to know, right? At least 3 health and safety, but not know, but you need to find it, right? Look, as a teacher here, one of my coordinators now put up a vacancy, right? But at least some people don't know what they're looking for. This is prime evidence of that vacancy, right? They're looking for an HSE officer, but the NEBOSH diploma. Well, they don't really ask for the NEBOSH. The NEBOSH diploma is for a manager, right? For safety. I don't know if you can see that, right? The NEBOSH diploma, right? Is really for like a manager, not really this. I mean, the diploma is not. A lot of people that need to spell NEBOSH wrong too, right? But I spell it correctly. But remember, NEBOSH is an acronym. A lot of people think NEBOSH is actually a word. Can you see that? Right? But NEBOSH is an acronym. Remember, it's not a word. Like scuba. Scuba is actually an acronym and a scuba gear. Anybody know what scuba stands for? Scuba. When you say scuba gear, you go in scuba diving.
Self-contained underwater
Yeah,
breathing apparatus.
breathing apparatus, very good. Yeah, but people think it's a word now, but you know, it's really an acronym. And in back there. Yeah. All right. So let me know, did anybody not get it out of the class? I don't have time to ask everybody though, because we need to find the others. But let me just pick 1 or 2 of you. Michelle said she got it. From the answer, they look like Derek get it.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Let me just pick 1 or 2 of you, right? I'll pick 1 or 2 just to call. Nadine, you got it?
Yes, I did.
Okay, well, Keisha looks like she have it. Vishala, Kimberly, Nicholas Passar, did you get it low by itself? Sparkle Lynch, Neca Steel. That's it?
Yeah, but right, 1/4 inch, one 1/4 inch wood bit, and they give you a 1 1/4 inch wood bit.
Okay.
Small thing, you make it up, come on.
Okay, let me check on the chats here. Eden said yes. Kimberly said yes at the chats. Eden, do you know, right? No, you didn't get it as yet?
I found it.
Oh, you found it. Okay, good. All right. Well, here's the thing. Out of the 3 of them, that's the easiest one to find. The lowest be the easiest one to find. So for your assignment then, and even for your project, I was saying, right? Like whichever hazard you choose, like if it was fire, you just put in a like regulation for fire. And you just press enter. It's that easy, right? Okay, let's try to find the ACOP now, right? Misha says she got it already. But let's try to find the ACOP. So what you're doing in the same search engine, you're actually putting in ACOPS now for noise. Right now, sometimes if this doesn't work, you need to actually spell out the word ACOP. But I think because this is the HSC site, I think it should work. And this hazard isn't that strange then. This hazard is noise. So it shouldn't be that strange of a hazard, right? So you put in ACOPS, capital letters, A, C, O, P, ACOPS for noise. And you're running a search again, ACOPS for noise. And look at right here, ACOPS for noise, right? And what you want, remember I said ACOPS is represented by the letter L. So you want the L and the number, L108. And you want the name of the book. Now, when you finish writing it down, I wanted to click it because I wanted to see it's actually a book, right? Like when you finish writing it down, they're doing some drilling in the office here, so it does seem to be in the air, right? So when you finish, just click it, and I wanted to open it, and you'll see it's actually a book. Remember, these things are books, right? When you finish, click it, and you'll see like they're selling it, they could have a free copy here. So that's what I said. Once you're in safety, NIBOSH is not just about a certificate, it's about being competent. Somebody asks you something on noise, you could go and download a free booklet on noise. Somebody asks you something on anything, you could go and download it and you have it. Look, I remember a time, right? Let me kind of quantify what I'm saying. I had a safety manager in courts. So I was going to tell you courts called me now, but then next thing it's in courts called me to come and collect back their fridge or TV, right? So the manager in courts, he left there now, right? He left courts. I think he's with UDCOT now, right? But it have another person there in courts, the manager, but one of the safety person in courts. And they are also part of, but they are past students of the school here anyway too, right? So anyway, so the guy called me from courts and he wanted to know something about signage. And actually what he wanted to know, I wasn't quite clear because he wanted to know if it was to put up an allergy sign where the customers and them, like where customers come into courts now. So I tell him I didn't quite know what was the standard for like showrooms where allergy is concerned. And I just went and I researched it. I got the ACOP for it and I got it and I gave him. So he thought I know, or he thought I knew, but I didn't. And this is what I'm trying to tell you as a safety, you don't have to know everything, but you have to know where to find it, right? So did you all click it? If you want, did you all click download a free copy? Now, let me just finish this. You have to put L108, control it. You have to write out the name of it, the number and the name is not sufficient. So controlling, you see, I'm making the effort to write it for you all, because I know this is what they asked it for. Controlling noise at work. Right? L108. Could you verify me, those of us who finished writing this down, because the marker is more difficult here, that you could verify that it is a book. If you open L108, could you open it and see that it is a book? You can get a free copy download. Controlling noise at work.
Yeah, it is a
Right?
book.
Okay, I'll try to get, I lost what I was doing. I think my phone went back to the last one. I think my phone went back to the regulation. Let me see. Okay, download a free copy. So press download a free copy. Let's I'll show you what is open, right? So you download a free copy. This is what you're seeing. Watch it here. L108, 3rd edition. It is a book. So that's what I'm saying. Somebody is more willing to read a book because it have pictures and diagrams and drawings and stuff in it than look at the entire, work, the entire noise at work regulation then, right? So all of these are free. You can download it and now you could use the same link for your final, what I have on screen and you could use this for your final. Noise could be one of your final hazards. Remember, for your final project, you have to get 10 hazards and then you have to bring it down to 3. So noise could be one. Noise is a good one. Right? Just give me a minute to answer, Paul, here. sorry, let's try to find the guy was drilling, right? So I took the opportunity to move something somewhere he was drilling. Yeah, so let's try to find the guidance. So the guidance is the same thing. So get back to the main page, which is the search bar page, right? And when you get back to that, instead of putting ACOPS for noise, what you're gonna put, you can put HSG. The guidances are sometimes harder to find, or listen to this hint, you could actually put INDG. Sometimes to find a guidance, you can put health and safety guidance, HSG, but the guidances are sometimes more miserable to find. So you could get something called INDG. INDG stands for industrial guidances. Any one of those would work, right? NIBOSH would accept anyone. HSG for noise or INDG for noise. Anyone you get will be sufficient. What you're looking for, if you get the HSG, you're looking for the letters HSG. Or if you get INDG, you're looking for the letters INDG and the number and the name of the article, right? So I'll try that. I would just try HSG for noise. I wouldn't try the INDG as yet, unless I feel with the if I feel with the HSG, then I'll try the INDG, right? So HSG for noise. Let me show you what I did. So that's what I did, HSG for noise. And I'm gonna press, well, search and see what comes up. Again,
So I
some things
got
you made it.
INDG 363, and in
Right.
brackets it has REV2, and download the free copy of the
Okay,
guidance.
what that would work. Anybody got anything on the HSG? I didn't get I remember Google brings up this really brings up like 5 pages out of thousands of pages. So that's why I said you have to keep looking. Anybody got any HSG figures? I didn't get any. I
didn't get any. I got INDG 362 as well. Well,
okay.
362.
Yeah. Hey, look, I got look, I got one. I got one. Sometimes you have to click them now. This was this was the third one I saw. So anyone will be good. That's the thing about these things, right? If you wonder, so is it correct? Is it wrong? It doesn't matter, because remember, these are all books to explain the law now. In the same thing I checked, I got one HSG 260. The name of this book is Sound Advice, Control for Noise at Work in the Music and Entertainment Industry, or Music and Entertainment, HSG 260. But let me say the one that you all say to, because anyone is anyone. There's no right or wrong one, because remember, these things supplement the law. These things is like a book explaining something about the law. HSG 260. 260. Which is the one that you all said that you all got?
INDG 362.
362. Trying to get back my homepage, right? So when you all got that, so you just put INDG for noise.
Yes, so it has the date of the publication, 12.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm just trying to figure out what you did to get it. INDG for noise, right? Let's try that
363.
one. Let me see if I'll get it, right?
Yeah.
A brief guide to noise. INDG 362. Okay, good. So that's very good. Yeah. So INDG 362. That would work. I just put in the 362 there, revision 2. And if you click on it, I'm going to try to click on it to show that it is a book, right? So basically, that is what you have to do for your final project. Well, there's a part of the project for it then, right? Where when you get your 10 hazards, you have to write about the 3 of them, or the first, second, and third. And the first, second, and third one, you have to find the law for it. You have to find the ACOP, you have to find the guidance for it, right? It looks like the same one we did just now, but it's not. It looks like the other book, eh? It looks like the ACOP book, but it's not, because this one did say INDG 362. right? It's the same sort of picture they use, but if you look down here, the name of this one is INDG. It is a book, of course, right? So I guess it's doing the same thing. They are meant to kind of work together. These two, if we go back to this slide, let's go back to this slide. You'll see these two kind of books are meant to supplement the law then, like to tell the employer what the law is trying to say. Look at right there. Right? Approved code of practices can supplement the act or regulation. Guidances contain practical advice from the HSC, usually in the form of HSG. Right? And look, I had an example of one. I had one for welfare, I think for temperature. This was the book for that. This is the book for that one, the guidance, HSG 194, thermal comfort in the workplace. This is just an example of finding one, but we have found a real one. So I think we are okay there. So let's reflect now. Tell me if you are okay. Look back at page 9, that short page 9, and see if you understand how detailed page 9 was. Anyway. See if you understand it. Page 9, that the act is the act, but they couldn't put everything in the act. So what they did, they started to put things in separate laws. But then even the separate laws is kind of hard to read. So they broke it down in the simplest of ways then. Ways like these where you can just get it in a book, right? The thing with the book though is that because every hazard have a regulation, then every hazard also have an ACOP. And then every hazard also have a guidance. So there are many books and there are many guidances that would support health and safety around the world, right? However, a very good site for it is the HSE website, the same site I had. Let me go back and share it with you. The HSE website is like the main site and where you can find information on health and safety matters. The research bar was right here, right? And we could probably try, I don't know if you could see this one. I could try to show one, but I know every time I find it, I would have to share the page, right? Let's try one more because it's just, we have about 10 minutes. If we don't find all of it, we don't find all. But let's try one more because we cannot start anything new then. It's 20 past 2. We can't start anything new. The most we can do is find another one anyway, right? Does somebody shout another hazard for me? We'll try to find, I'll try to show this one in the screen itself. If it could, whatever could show, could show. Whatever given trouble with Zoom, given trouble with Zoom, right? Could somebody shout another hazard for me?
So electrical shock.
Okay, electrical. I haven't really looked for that one. So let's look for that one, right? So what do you want to put? Like, are you all seeing my background page, which is the HSC website? Are you all seeing that? Yeah, okay, good. So we're gonna put
Yes, sir.
regulation, okay, regulation for electricity or something. Now I know it by heart, but I pretended me I know it now, right? So regulation for electricity, what you're supposed to get is the Electricity Work Regulation 1989. That's what you're supposed to get. Are you all seeing the next page that came up? Because I know Zoom is funny. Are you all seeing the actual name of it or you're still seeing the search page?
We see in the search
In
page.
the-
Yeah,
Yes,
I know
sir,
that.
we see this.
But you're seeing
But
the
we can
name of
see
the law,
Electricity
Electricity
at
and
Work
Work Regulation.
1989.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
very
seen
good.
it, yeah.
Okay, good, excellent. Okay, good, right? So that's the name of the regulation. So you see, it wasn't hard. So just keep this in mind too for the third time today. It's not hard. Like to get them for your project is not hard. It's just to put them. The hardest one to find may be the guidance, but to find the regulation, not hard. Did you all take a note of that? That for the project, you need to find the 3 hazards you boil it down to. The 3 hazards that they're going to talk about, you have to write about the regulations in them. Just let me ask a question. So you're using a chair? Just have a sensitive piece of equipment and that thing in the back of the chair. You're going there to make mess? No?
Not right now.
Okay, all right. If we could just move that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. So if you're okay, let's try the ACOPS for electricity. All right. So I'll put here ACOPS for electricity. I don't know this one by heart though. ACOPS for electricity. I'm gonna run a search again. ACOPS for electricity. Okay, so what we're interested in is getting the L number. So that's what is be tricky sometimes too, to get in the L number. The letter L and the number. So this,
The ACOPS is L112.
wow. Which search engine you get that on?
The
That
same
was
site,
fast.
the same,
What's
The
in
same
same
thing
it?
here?
Provision and
yeah,
use of
the
work
same one you
equipment.
on here.
Really? Okay, I probably had to open it. Okay, but I'm not seeing it. I guess let me go back. You said L1.
1-2.
I wonder which one we clicked, boy. This was this one.
Yes, the headlines for it is safe use of power
Oh,
presses.
power presses. Okay, right, okay. Yeah, so L112, provision and use of work equipment regulation as applied to power presses. I wonder if this applies to electricity though. Some of them not applicable. And I wonder if this one is an applicable one. Anyway, for the sake of the 8 minutes I have, I would assume this is correct. Right? And L112, and we could run a search for the guidance as well, right? So you're gonna go back in the search engine and put the HSG, but I mean, I think the INDG kind of have a better series anyway. INDG for electricity. Right. I said Nibosh is not going to question it too much as long as it has something that is relevant in it. Right. INTG for electricity. And yeah, I'm seeing here resources for film, theater, and broadcasting, but some of them though, you have to open them to see if it's relevant. So this is electrical safety, and this one will work because it seems to talk about electricity. Electricity safety, and a brief guide. INDG 231. Let's open and see if it is talking about electricity. You can actually open the book, don't feel afraid. Right? You can actually open the book if you want to know if it really have anything with electricity in it. The only thing I don't know if you all see in the page that's open. So you can let me know if you see in the page that's open. Did you see a page that open? It opened a booklet called Electricity Safety and You.
Yeah.
I see
Okay,
now.
good. Okay, good. Right? And so then this does look, if it could enlarge this does look like a talk. So what are the hazards of electricity? Contact with live parts, fault which could cause fire. So this does seem to be correct. And once you have that, you're good to go, right? Okay, assignment time. Assignment time, right? So for your assignment, if you didn't figure it out as yet, I'm trying to see how to talk about your assignment. Okay, so for the assignment, what I want you to do, so a lot of people do it on a table. You want to think of 3 hazards for yourself. Hopefully you won't choose back the same ones that we use here today. And for those 3 hazards, I just put in hazards here, right? Hazards and top. For those 3 hazards, you want to get, for the hazard, don't do too much. I remember all we want is a name. You want to get for those hazards, the name of the regulation. You will pick your own 3 hazards. You want to get the name of the regulations. You want to get the name of the ACOP. Like I said, a table format is a good way of doing it. And you want to get the name of the guidances. Don't give any specifics because you don't really have to give any specifics. Just the name is important. Name and number then. Like when you meet somebody, the name and the number. That's what is important. Right? This one is HSG. Right? Name and number. We can get to the details on the second date. But for the first date, the name and the number. So that's what we want. Tell me when you finish. Right. And if you have any questions on the homework,
Hi sir, this is Christy here. The last one is HSG.
Oh, okay. And
The
the
same letters
homework
you've
is
been seeing for the whole
for,
class today, yeah.
okay, and the homework is for next week, Saturday, right?
Well, you could do it before, you know, we don't really let things go too much unless if you hand it up late. But once you hand it up in the week, you know, we'll correct it. There's just a table anyway, we'll be quick to correct. If you do it like this, you can actually write, I mean, you don't have to do it in a table. I just saying you could write out hazard 1, and then you write out the 3 things, hazard 2. It's up to you, but a lot of students choose to do this like a table now. And please keep this one when you get the feedback, because you don't know if these are the same ones you're using for your final. Most likely it will be, because the final is just common hazards. It's the common hazards that you use it. Anybody else? 4 minutes to go. Let me try to get the roll and thing organized. I've been talking since 8:30, so please. Next week after you all, I have another class after. So next week is even more stressful than this week. If you have no questions, we could stop the recording, and you know, I mean, that all of that is conversion space anyway. On the platform now, right?